So your story is about really avoiding a cremation on your father's burial. And your father really wanted to be buried, to be cremated. Your siblings, your family wanted to have him cremated, but you somehow maneuvered it so that he would get a proper Jewish burial. And I want you to tell us a little about that story, and then we'll go back to your own history and how we got there. But I found this so interesting because in today's times, I'm reading more and more how more and more Jews are unfortunately choosing to be cremated. I think you've worked with Rabbi Zahn from the National Chevra Kadisha, the National Institute of Burial, and, and
Yes.
he helped you in your story. And I've read that he said that the numbers are astounding on how many Jews are being cremated, up to almost half, 50% in some places. And first of all, why do you think it's so important for someone not to be cremated, to be buried properly according to Judaism?
It's so I knew nothing really about this until starting to become observant. And my mom had passed away, and she was cremated, and I didn't start becoming observant until about after that time period. So I was really didn't know anything. I was basically ignorant about this whole topic and subject. But we're commanded by God to be buried. We're commanded not to destroy our bodies. We're commanded not to commit suicide. It's a destruction. We're commanded not to put tattoos on. So once you learn about these things, you start to research why would someone want to be cremated as opposed to someone being buried. So there's a lot of information out there, and I think one of the biggest problems is that people just don't
Mm-hmm.
know, and they're filled with a lot of information that's not correct about burial and cremation. So it's most important for people to really understand why we do what we do as Jewish people and why we don't do things that other countries may do. I did take, since we last spoke, some research about countries around the world and cremation. And the biggest country in the world for cremation, which is a country I've been to many, many times, is
Mm-hmm.
Japan. Close to 99.9% of the people in Japan
Oh,
are
wow.
cremated.
Wow.
So a lot of the Asian countries, it's very big. And the Jews, when we were in Europe and through our history, we weren't
Right.
cremated. Our enemies wanted to cremate and did get rid of it by
Right.
burning us. But the last thing we want to do is go against God's wishes. And unfortunately, in America, because people they assimilate, they pick up the customs of the local people, intermarried like I was, and we do what they're
Right.
doing. So we listen to that.
Right.
So my objective is to powerfully impact with you and others the reason why we it's very important to be Jewish, do Jewish things, be proud to be Jewish, and ultimately be
Right.
buried and definitely not be cremated.
100%.
So we need to reverse that here in the United
And,
States
and really,
somehow.
the obligation on burial is on the next of kin, or in this case, you were a son of your father, and that's why you worked so
Yeah.
hard to make sure that he was not cremated. And it's interesting because
Yes.
we always listen to the will of the departed, except in this area, when it comes to burial, we even if they requested not to be buried, but to be cremated, we bury them properly because we understand that now they're in a higher world, in the world of truth, where this is ultimately where they would want to be done in the proper way according to the Judaism's laws of burial.